Boom. Yeah? Okay. Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'll sit down too, because that was very cool. Okay. Session 3. Excuse me, sorry. Okay. Session 3. We began with the idea of what we think about Allah, how we view God, sets the context for how we view the entire world and how we view our entire existence. So Al-Fatiha helps us to set that in a healthy manner, how we view Allah, from the point of view of humility and gratitude. We went off on a side point about Sunni theology versus Mu'tazila theology. Sunni theology is that if you theoretically have no sins, then you automatically enter Jannah. So the idea of a baby born, diseased or whatever, and doesn't even have the opportunity to commit sin, is without sin, then the baby dies, goes straight to Jannah. Mu'tazila theology points more towards each person. You have to earn Jannah, right? So how do you think of where does a baby go, And so that's kind of a gray area that I'm not really sure, right? So that was a side point about the differences between those two parts of theology. The default state of mankind is guidance, right? So we are naturally inclined to seek guidance, to be in a state of guidance, to be in a state of goodness. Then we talked about the idea of what we view as karma or cosmic justice, that in order for that to be carried out, there has to be a day of judgment. There has to be a day of accounts where everything will work out justly in the end. In order for that to exist, there has to be logically a hereafter and a day of judgment, right? We talked about Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, the first Khalifa, the best friend of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and how he would state, or his personal sort of creed was that do whatever you want to me, but don't oppress my brother and sister, right? So even though we each have a right to seek justice for ourselves, it's better to forgive, right? And the point is to look at all of these, everything that happens to us, even suffering, even what we may see as something bad, as a rahmah, as a blessing, as a mercy from Allah. So it's better to be in this state, to view God as rahmah, because then we are in a state of viewing everything as rahmah, as a mercy. Even though we have the right to seek justice, it's better to forgive. Right? So then we talked about Al-Fatiha specifically, about how the first 8 concepts laid out in Surah Al-Fatiha is about Allah, about His relationship to us. Right? So this is setting the stage for how we are to view Allah. Then we went into the next ayah of Surah Al-Fatiha. Maliki Yawmiddin. Malik, we talked about what the word Malik means. Malik is commonly translated as the master, right? So the master of, the undisputed master of dunya, or our existence here, and of al-akhirah, or the hereafter, the day of judgment. Maliki Yawmiddin, the day of judgment. And we talked about ad-din, meaning deen refers to a reconciling of accounts, right? The day of the reconciling of accounts. And He is the master. Now, if we view Allah as Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, as the infinite and perpetual mercy, then we are able to understand and accept that everything, all justice will work out in the end, because we have that trust in our Creator. So then we talked about the 3 rights, or huquq, right? Huquq Allah, huquq al-ibadah, and huquq al-nafs. The rights of Allah, the rights of al-ibad, of worship, right, and the rights of nafs, the rights of the soul, of the inner soul, right? Then we moved on to the next verse of the Quran, Iyaka na'bud wa iyaka nasta'in, right? The Iyaka, now we say Iyaka because linguistically it is also exclusive, right? So towards you we worship. And then we talked about the four different sort of timelines or tense, right? So we say, I worship you alone, and I will worship you alone, right? And it's also exclusive, meaning we do not worship anything else as well, and we will not worship anything else as well. So Iyaka na'bud wa and Iyaka nasta'in. Nasta'in meaning we rely upon you. We rely upon you now, we will rely upon you forever. And we will rely only upon you now and only forever, right? Okay, then we talked about the three different, So an atheist, we talked about cause and effect and about three different states of sort of reliance, right? An atheist or someone who does not attribute anything to God will believe that everything is attributed to a certain cause, right? This happened because of this, right? And so a next level up, a believer then will make a prayer for a certain cause, right, to reach a certain effect, right? So, for example, a believer would say, "Oh Allah, please help me pass this exam so that I can become a doctor," so to speak. Now, but the highest state is to only make supplication or dua directly to Allah for the result, right? And letting Allah, trusting Allah that the cause or the means for that to happen will work out. So the highest state of belief would be to make dua for me to be healed or something, not for this certain medicine to work so that I can be healed. So we talked about those differences. And then we began to talk about the next verse of Al-Fatiha, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. So we talked Ihdina meaning guide us, or deliver us guidance. Sirat on the path of al-Mustaqim, the path that is on the straight. And we talked about it not being the destination, reaching the destination, but just guiding us in the right direction, right? And I think that's where we left off in the middle of that verse, and we were to continue this week, inshallah. Oh, I think it's time. And so I didn't have the usual amount of time to prepare like I usually did because it's been a busy weekend, so please forgive me for everything else. Okay, that's it. Criticisms? Yeah, tons of them, I'm sure.
The only comment that I